Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July 2026 Higher Education Tableau User Group. We are so thrilled that you could be with us here today as we kick off our sixth year of HETUG. So we're going to start off with our welcome and announcements, followed by Meet a Community Member with Sarisha Bojaretti and our TC26 Encore, the Tableau Dashboard Quality Checklist with Roshni Gohil from MIT and Preethi Lodha from the University of Massachusetts President's Office. Then we'll have our typical wrap up and chat, and definitely stick around for it today because we have got a very fun quiz with some giveaways, right?
Yes, we do. Can't wait for that.
Everybody's favorite. So, does anyone have any announcements they would like to come off mute and share with the group? You can put them in the chat if you don't want to come off mute. Any announcements like job openings or, oh, yeah, that's right, Sammy. It must be President Twin. Yeah. Job openings or events that would be of interest, please feel free to share. No? All right. Then we have a few announcements for you. James, I'll let you kick us off.
Well, to help celebrate our fifth anniversary birthday, Tableau has just released two features that have been promised for a while, and they're finally out. So the first is composable data sources. So anyone who is tired of the limitations of blending, well, now composable data sources or extended data sources are available if you have cloud and when you upgrade your server. I have not got to test this out yet. I tried when they first back during the beta of the current release, and then when they did release it, and when it didn't actually come out when it was supposed to. But now that it is out, I'm ready to try this out. I'm working on a project now that I'm running into issues with blending, so I can't wait till we update our server, and so we can start using the composable data. The second is published data sources on Tableau Public. So Tableau itself has some curated data sources, including the very popular Superstore. It's not present yet, but we are hoping at some point that the Super School will also be one of the Tableau curated data sources. But beyond the ones that Tableau is providing, users can also upload their own data sources and share it. So anyone who goes to Tableau conference, you may know Brittany Rosenau's step tracker. Well, she has up as her data, one of her data sources, actually the only one she has at the moment. She has uploaded the data source for the TC26 step tracker. So you can just go to someone's profile that you follow, check their data sources tab to see if they have any data sources. Unfortunately, these are not searchable yet, so you do have to kind of know about it or just kind of go exploring. So now I head off to, I think, to our speakers.
Well, before we get to our speakers, we're actually going to need to do a little bit of a commercial break. I know we just had music, but I think we need to hear a little bit more. What do you guys think? Yay? Nay?
I think yay.
All right, get ready for some amazingness.
Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard, and they're like it's clearer than yours. Damn right it's clearer than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard, and they're like it's clearer than yours. Damn right it's clearer than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. We know you need it. Standards that guide it. What your team relies on for. They gain that trust. Now we align. We know it's time. La la, la la, la. Check it off. La la, la la, la. The boards are waiting. La la, la la, la. Check it off. La la, la la, la. Your flow is waiting. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard, and they're like it's cleaner than yours. Damn right it's cleaner than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard, and they're like it's cleaner than yours. Damn right it's cleaner than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. We gotta see you on it. You want us to teach the techniques to critique dashboards. Steps won't be fraught. Just give it a thought. Watch, you'll be smart. La la, la la, la. Check it off. La la, la la, la. The boards are waiting. La la, la la, la. Check it off. La la, la la, la. Your flow is waiting. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard, And they're like it's stronger than yours. Damn right it's stronger than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard. And they're like it's stronger than yours. Damn right it's stronger than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. Oh, once you get involved, everyone will look this way, so you must define your goal. Same time design your Tableau. Just get the right intent. And name each field within. Then tested, checked, and finished. The users will frequent. La la, la la, la. Check it off. La la, la la, la. The boards are waiting. La la, la la, la. Check it off. La la, la la, la. Your flow is waiting. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard. And they're like it's clearer than yours. Damn right it's clearer than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge. Our checklist brings all the boards to the yard. And they're like it's clearer than yours. Damn right it's clearer than yours. We could teach you, but you're in charge.
Thank you, Roshni, for playing that wonderful parody. And you may already know our next speakers, but I want to introduce them anyway and give them the proper accolades. So first we have Preethi Lodha, who is the Director of Data Analytics and Operations at the University of Massachusetts President's Office. Beyond that, she's a Tableau Public Ambassador and featured author with over 1 million Tableau Public views and 3 visits of the day. Hopefully that is still accurate. She is also an active contributor to the Tableau community, co-leading the Tableau Community Project DataFamCon, and both the Boston and Tableau public user groups. She also serves on the advisory board for the Data Plus Women Northeast Tableau user group. And fun fact, this will be her 4th time presenting at an HETUG meeting. So thank you for coming back, Preethi. And then an accidental data analyst, Roshni Gohil has spent the last decade and change analyzing data for the MIT endowment, with roles supporting both the fundraising and investment arms of MIT, and all the while pushing user-centered design, business analysis, and project management processes and methods on sometimes unsuspecting colleagues. Roshni co-founded and co-leads HETUG, Higher Education Tableau User Group, and MIT's internal TUG, as well as co-leading the Accessibility TUG and Data Dev TUGs. I don't know when Roshni sleeps. If you do see her at a Tableau event, she's probably got her hands full keeping her stuffed Data Dev Dino Flex out of trouble. And if you were at her June presentation, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. And fun fact, this will be her 18th time officially presenting at HETUG. She is a co-lead, so that will change it a little bit, but still, welcome back, and thank you both for presenting.
Okay, thank you, Sam, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. Really excited to be here. Today, we are sharing something very practical that we call the Tableau Dashboard Quality Checklist, or you might see us referring it as TDQ in some of the slides. This comes from a simple problem. As teams grow, quality becomes inconsistent, and this is our way of fixing that without slowing anyone down. Okay, after that wonderful introduction, all I can say is I am a 4-time Tableau ambassador, and with the next click, you will see that my milkshake of choice is the peppermint, because peppermint always reminds me of the festival mood. And so my favorite milkshake or ice cream also tends to be vanilla peppermint milkshake.
Well, you guys know I'm Roshni. I'm kind of a sucker for cookies and cream anything, whether it's like that Hershey's candy bar from way back in the 90s, or in ice cream form. Oreo, that's where I go. Well, sometimes if there's a Dr. Pepper ice cream out there, I will go that route, but I'm not in the South very often. I'm in Boston with Preethi, so And, as Preeti mentioned, we've all seen it that, teams grow, dashboards, they kind of start to shift a little bit. It's not because people are careless, but because standards are often informal. They're, maybe in people's heads. So today we're going to share a very lightweight checklist that will help your team stay consistent without slowing down delivery or limiting your analyst creativity. We're going to join forces, and we're really glad to have you join us here on what we're going to call our peppermint Oreo milkshake journey.
Yeah. So in today's session, we will cover initially some of the common struggles when the standards remain informal. So the problem of the use case. And then we have 6 components that we have grouped for our checklist. Followed by that, we will walk you through of how would you apply it. And I always love to see a real world example of all the things that we talk about, right? And we'll wrap it up with the starter template that you can take home. So this is very much a steal it and use it sort of a session. The best part is this is being recorded, but in the end, we have links and QR codes for all the things that you can take home with you. Okay. So before we get into any frameworks or the checklist that we are promising you, I want to start with you all. This is going to be a little bit interactive. So either in the chat or if you want to use the raise button or to react, let me know if you have experienced any of these next 3 scenarios that I'm going to very quickly talk about. Okay, let's start with this one. For example, a new analyst joins your team. They build their first dashboard. It works. The data is right. It does not look or feel anything else like what your team has built. A show of hands of if you have experienced that. A new person joining your team, but their dashboards don't look like what your dashboards do. Okay, I see a couple of thumbs up. There was an explosion of thumbs up. Okay, there you go. So we have experienced this, right? So what is going here is it isn't a skills problem. It is the standards, because the standards tend to exist in only the people who were previously employed there in their heads. So the analyst isn't doing anything wrong. They just weren't set up with something visible for them to follow. And what happens next is that reviews become very rework heavy. Now let's go to the second scenario of your team grows sometimes. There are more analysts, more dashboards, more outputs being published, right? We acquire a new tool and we are like, oh, everybody is going to build their dashboards on this. That would have been your story when the Tableau became your tool to build dashboards. How many of you work on a team where multiple people are building dashboards? I do. I have a team of 3 people who is actively building dashboards. So as I see with the thumbs up, you do the same. So what happens in this scenario is at first it's great, right? More work is being done and you are presenting these dashboards to the stakeholders as you want. But over the time, you see that things start to drift. That is where there are different colors being used, different formats being used. The same KPI probably has 3 different definitions. And trust me, that was our international students' definition that I had to keep telling, hey, this is the definition we tend to use. Our dashboards need to have this. So eventually, users will stop asking you, what does this mean? And they'll start asking you which dashboard is right. Can I trust this number that you are giving me? Right? And the last one is when the dashboard is done, according to the person who built it. But it's not done according to the reviewer or the stakeholder. And my question to you all is, how many times you have built something and gone through multiple rounds of the feedback that felt from your stakeholder that was more subjective than actual thing that they wanted to be built? Okay, this is a unique one. So I see a few thumbs up. Thank you for that. What is happening here is because there's no shared definition of what done means for your dashboard, every review will become a debate instead of just a check. So across these 3 scenarios, what we are seeing is the pattern that the standards aren't visible, experiences becoming inconsistent, reviews are taking longer because than they should, and your end users, your stakeholders are losing confidence in your dashboards that have been built. And as we saw, these are not edge cases. This is what happens naturally when teams grow or teams change. And the good news is these are all solvable problems, and the solution is a checklist which creates shared standard of how you build, how you verify, and what done means. Next, we will break down of what actually goes in the said checklist, the TDQ checklist.
TDQ? So we are going to talk about the TDQ through a milkshake recipe analogy. That's why we talked about milkshakes earlier. So the thing about a milkshake recipe is that most recipes start with a ratio of ice cream to other ingredients. And that ratio, it sets a good base for a repeatable quality milkshake. And then you can add toppings and mix-ins and adjust based on your own wants and needs. You've got repeatable quality through that base and then a whole lot of flexibility on top through all those add-ons. And that is how we feel about the TDQ checklist. It's a good base that you can adjust to fit your team's context. You get a better result every single time and a checklist that people actually use. And our checklist recipe is actually quite simple. We're going to step through it really quickly at first, and then we're going to dive deeper into each part. So we'll start our milkshake journey by choosing a cup. It's got to be the right size for your needs, because if you pick the wrong cup, even the best milkshake will disappoint. On the dashboard side, why does this dashboard even exist? If you're not building the right product for your users will be left disappointed. So next we choose the ice cream flavor, Oreo. So this flavor, it is your base. If the base is messy, if you've picked out the wrong flavor or the wrong type of ice cream, or if you've let it get too melty, everything on top becomes a little bit harder. So our dashboard naming is base is the naming and organization within the dashboard. So what the dashboard looks like underneath the hood. That is key to building products that your team can continue to maintain 2 months or 2 years down the line. Because as Preethi likes to say, if you can't name it, you can't maintain it. And then you've got to pick your ingredients. What mix-ins do you want to add? The fillings are going to kick your plain, boring vanilla milkshake game up a notch or several. And design standards are those ingredients for your dashboard. This is where dashboards stop looking like one-off projects and they start feeling like a portfolio. So you've got the same ingredients, they're consistently measured, and all of that makes for a much better product. And then the toppings, all the choices. You've got sprinkles, you've got caramel, you've got whipped cream and gummy bears and so many choices. But you pick too many and you've got a candy factory, not a milkshake. So you've got to be really intentional about your choices because too many toppings make it hard to taste the point. And the same is true of interactivity. That's where users either love your dashboard or they just give up. And then when you've got all your ingredients together, you've got to blend it. And if it doesn't blend well, no one's going to want to try it. So execution is key, and a great blend is what makes a great milkshake. And that is where performance and data quality come in on the dashboard side. A dashboard that performs and is accurate is going to keep users coming back. And speaking of users, you've got to put those finishing touches on it. So you got to do that last little quality check and serve it. And with a milkshake, serving includes a taste test. So in dashboard terms, that quality check is the review process, ensuring that your dashboard really is done. And that is TDQ in a nutshell. It's a simple checklist that is flexible and easy to use, and again, one that people actually will use. So let's go ahead and dig into the details.
I do have to give a shout out for all those visuals. Roshni is amazing with that stuff. So kudos to you, Roshni. But okay, so let's coming back to our journey. The step one was choosing the cup, right? Too small a cup, you're left wanting more. Too large a cup, and you get stomachache. So if you pick the wrong cup, even the best milkshake will disappoint. That sounds simple, but it is where most of the dashboard problems tend to start. If you are not building the right product for the right users, the dashboard will fail even before it ships. So for step one, we are sizing it, right? Before we build anything, we are going to document what is the purpose of this dashboard and who are the users. There are a few set of questions that we have identified that you want to be able to answer, such as the purpose of your dashboard, what decision or action it is going to support, who is the audience. This is the critical one, right? A data analyst dashboard will look very different from a senior staff or a president's dashboard. Because you need, for the senior level, sometimes you might want to need them to be able to get the information within 30 seconds or less. And the other one is, what are the top questions this dashboard must answer every time it's opened? What are the KPIs that actually matter and how are they defined? And as I was saying, international students, we had to come up with the standardized definition if that was being used, that this is the definition we are going to use across our dashboards. And finally, what does success look like? Is it adoption, speed, accuracy, or fewer ad hoc requests? It varies depending upon your organization. Sometimes your organization is more about, hey, I want the accurate data, 100% match. Sometimes they are like, if it is in the ballpark, I'm fine using those numbers. So those are the questions. So one of my favorite questions to ask in this is, what should a user be able to accomplish in 30 seconds without training? That is the true core test of your dashboard. Because if your user is not able to answer the question within 30 seconds, everything downstream is going to become very hard. So for example, what I have here is an executive dashboard and an analyst dashboard. They are using the exact same data, but they are going to be two completely different products. One is designed for decision at a glance. The other is designed for investigation and detail. So as I was saying, same data, but very different cup sizes. And this is the structure. You are capturing all your information. Coming to the next step, which is choosing your ice cream flavor. This is your base. And if the base is messy, everything as Roshni was saying on top will become harder to fix. So in terms of step 2, I would say the simplest way to think about it is if you can't name it, you can't maintain it. What you want is clarity and not creativity in your naming and organization. So that means consistent naming for your data sources, your fields, your calculations, your parameters, your sheets, your dashboards. There are a whole lot of things that you have to name in a Tableau dashboard, right? It means that all those things need to be readable on site. So anyone apart from you or anybody else downstream opens your workbook, understands what they are looking at without having to guess. It also means that you clean as you go, which means you remove your unused fields, you are hiding the clutter and keeping the structure intentional. Because when something breaks to 6 months later, you don't want to go on a treasure hunt to find that one calculation called profit to final revised. I'm like, what does that mean? And nobody knows. So as you can see in this example, we have a consistent calculated field names being highlighted. They start with calc as the prefix. So we are using the prefix numbering and more. Same goes where you can make consistent sheet names. Just as the calculated names in this example, you can see that Kim has applied. Roshni, we have to click to the next one. Thank you. So Kim, again, these are our example from Kimberly Coots. Absolutely love their work. And Kim has applied a similar naming convention for her sheets, right? They are labels, they are bars, the curves, all of them follow a similar convention. What she has been able to achieve here is consistency. And next one is the identifiable dashboard objects name. One step that often gets missed in naming dashboard objects is specifically the containers. I want to know what that grouping of containers consists of. You want to make sure that you name these objects with purpose. Example, you have a footer divider line, name it. So that whoever is picking up the dashboard after you does not have to puzzle. So basically, speaking of random objects, now let's go about talking about ingredients. This is the fun one. This is my favorite. This is where you get to make most of the consistency come in play. If naming is the base, design standards are the ingredients. This is where your dashboards will stop looking as one-off projects and start looking like a portfolio. Again, the goal here is not that every dashboard looks identical. It is that they feel consistent. So we standardize what matters by looking at these 5 elements in detail. The first one is the color. Color is the big one. We define a system, what means good, what means bad, what means neutral. Feel free to use what your colors at the university are or what your organization does. Here we have applied default Tableau color palettes to all the charts. The same color is being used across the charts, but means different things in each one of them. So that is confusing, right? A real dashboard creator, Kevin, chose a consistent color palette here throughout the dashboard. Everything is dark gray, but the highlights, those are in gold. He made it clear in the text, but even without explanation, there is a little chance of misinterpretation of what those colors mean.
Wait, Preethi, you said Kevin. Do you mean Kevin Wee? Iron Viz finalist Kevin Wee, who talked about graphic novels on the Iron Viz stage at TC26 in May? That same Kevin Wee who presented on Tableau and Figma 3 years ago at HETUG? That Kevin Wee?
Exactly, Roshni, that Kevin Wee, who is also coming to the Tableau Public Tug to speak about his Iron Viz submission on the Iron Viz stage in September. So yeah, Kevin is a prolific creator of dashboards. So exactly, that Kevin Wee.
That Kevin Wee. Amazing. And he's going to be there with who else at that Tableau Public Tug?
He and the other two finalists. So we are going to have Brian Moore, we are going to have Kevin, and we are going to have our Iron Viz winner, all three of them, come and speak about their dashboards at the Tableau Public Tug in
And if
September.
you haven't checked out Anne Pregler's like final winning viz, oh my God. It's going to be an amazing tug. It was an amazing Tableau conference Iron Viz final. You can go watch it on Salesforce Plus. And as my old boss said, always be selling because that's what we're doing here.
That's it. I was like, oh, we need to come back to our presentation because once we start plugging others, we are not going to stop. But okay, so coming back to the design and visual standards, next one is the typography. What does typography means? These are your titles, your headers, your labels. Figure out what the hierarchy needs to be, a clear hierarchy, because if everything is of the same size, nothing stands out, as you can see in the example. But what you can do is if you have consistent use of font sizes and weights, you can guide your user throughout the dashboard, as you see in this example. Your eye will catch to a certain information just based upon the size that you are using, right? And next is the formatting, which is your numbers, dates, percentages, and abbreviations. So in this example, you have the same data, but inconsistent formatting, which is going to make it harder to read and trust. If one metric is showing 2 decimal places and another is showing none, the users are going to be like, so why are you saying it is 2.3 million, but for the other one, you are saying it is 203K or whatever number. So figure out what your consistent formatting needs to be, what your abbreviations are, when you are applying the percentages that they are consistent across, so it is easier to read. Okay, so having talked about all those, now let's talk about layout. This is where you figure out the standards for your team. We tend not to do mobile-friendly dashboards at our workplace. We have a setup of saying, hey, we are going to do dashboards that work on, let's say, a tablet, or it has to be a larger screen that you can view on. So if you are an organization where you are, hey, we like to build mobile-friendly dashboards, then you will have to put those together. And in this, what you are also going to figure out is where do your filters go? Where does your navigation sit? How does your user move through the dashboards? In this example, on the screen that we have, you have two different dashboards built by different folks at the Mira Costa College. Even though they are stylistically different, you can tell that these two dashboards were created by individuals on the same team. Why? Because they followed their local style guide. The dashboards are almost have an identical header and footer strategy that they have going in there. And finally, chart choice. In choosing charts, the analyst chose an effective chart to answer the question at hand. In example, Kim chose a Sankey. Almost no one ever says a Sankey is easy to understand. But here, where we are trying to understand the proportion of students who drop out over a course of multiple semesters, it's actually effective. So it is very important to understand the charts that you are going to use, understand the stakeholders who are going to read these charts, and the data type that you are trying to showcase. This is how we make dashboards feel consistent, by following all these standards, even if they are built by different people. Okay. So this is putting all the things that I spoke together when thinking of the design and visual standards. Remember, these don't live in silos. They are all connected. You are not thinking about colors, fonts, and layouts independently. They are all working together to guide your user through the story. So once the dashboard looks consistent, we can talk about how it behaves when the user interacts with it.
And that is toppings. So in the dashboard role, toppings are all of those interactive elements like filters and actions that will turn a static dashboard into an effective data tool. Interactivity is where your users either love your dashboard or they just plain give up. And too many toppings, no one can taste the point. So the checklist helps you stay focused, which in turn makes your dashboards more predictable and easy to use. So things like smart defaults, those support the most common question that the dashboard is going to help answer. Logical filter ordering. Apparently we have a really big problem today with logical and local. Too many laws. Anyway, logical filter order will correspond to what the user is usually going to do. So for example, if you're looking at all of Superstore initially and always going to want to drill down one category at a time, and then within each category by customer segment, you want to make sure that the filters are arranged in that order, category and then customer segment. Users shouldn't have to question whether the filter they applied worked on the whole dashboard or only on a single view. So make sure that the scope of filters is really clear through placement or even instructional text or instructional help. And when your user filters the dashboard and then they filter some more and then they somehow filter themselves into a blank screen, well, you don't want them asking like, how the heck do I get back home? Make sure that navigation and reset paths are very obvious to your users. And tooltips. I consider tooltips the whipped cream of a dashboard. It's that extra tiny bit of delight that can make a regular milkshake or dashboard into something spectacular. And so in dashboard terms, that means something more usable. So on my team's HETUG checklist, tooltips only appear when they're needed. They follow a consistent format, they use plain language, and where necessary, they can also include definitions to provide context to our users so that they actually are able to answer that question of like, what does this metric mean again? And the goal again here is predictability and usability. So Miracos is back. They've got another great dashboard example. And so here we start with the default color palette. It's based on the school's branding, and that's the one that most people are going to be using. That is the smart default. However, there's also a color palette switcher here to provide those that need it a high contrast view, because all of those blues in the default color palette, there are a lot of colors that are very close in hue together. And so they may be hard for some audiences to differentiate. Filters that are designed to be consistently along the top of these dashboards. They're hidden right now by the funnel show hide button. And that hiding of the filters by default, that's demonstrating that most users are not going to need to go beyond this view. So we're reducing the clutter from the outset. We're reducing the cognitive load for most of our users. And so those that do need to filter it, well, they see that identical list of filters when they do click the filter button. They're always at the top of the screen in the same order, regardless of which tab of the dashboard they're on. And finally, at the very bottom of the dashboard in the footer is that navigation that we talked about earlier. So there's consistent arrows to go home, or to go between tabs, and then there's also a home button that will get the user back back safely and easily to that start page that was that summary view. And all of these choices are their intentional and consistent interactivity choices. They provide predictability and usability for the users that they can actually see, right? But predictability and usability go beyond what you can see. A good looking dashboard can actually be a hot mess under the hood. And that hot mess is going to be visible to the end user in some ways. It's going to show up in slow load times, in slow refresh times, in data that doesn't refresh, in long delivery cycles for bug fixes and enhancements. The end result will mean low adoption. And this step, this blending step, is going to help you keep the dashboard running at optimum performance with quality data. It makes the experience go from meh. You see that meh button on the middle of that blender, right? It goes from meh to yeah, or TDQ. So in milkshake terms, if it doesn't blend well, no one is going to want to try it. And no one wants to wait for ages for a milkshake, right? And no one, in the same way, wants to wait ages for your dashboard to load or for your filter to apply. So make sure that all of that design and all of the design and interactivity choices that you checked off in steps 3 and 4, make sure they're actually functioning. They're functioning well enough for the users to actually want to use the dashboard. So to get performance right, you're going to need to do some fine tuning. And you may need to go back through your ingredients and your toppings. Do you have the right default settings to ensure that the dashboard loads quickly? Maybe you need to add a few more sprinkles. Chart type, table versus bar, summary versus detail. On its own, this chart may load well, but once you get to the dashboard and mix it in with all the other charts, it slows everything down. So we may need to add a few more cookies in our shake to make it a true cookies and cream milkshake. And then filter settings. Only relevant values, all values in context, is the apply button enabled? This milkshake is a little bit more caramel sauce. The workbook optimizer shown here and performance recordings are two tools that are built into Tableau that you can use to figure out where the bottlenecks are in your dashboard and also address the issues. And the other part of good execution, that is quality. A dashboard built on bad data is like a milkshake built with yogurt instead of ice cream. You're looking for a milkshake, you get a smoothie. I don't want that. Make sure that everyone's talking the same language by using certified data sources, whether they're certified in the official Tableau published data source sense or through some sort of internal code review process. You want to make sure, are the business definitions encoded in the data correctly? Is the scope correct, or do we need to add another year or 5 for the analysis at hand? Do we really need all of those columns? Go ahead and hide your unused fields. And even with something as simple as surfacing how fresh the data is by displaying a data refresh or data update date on the dashboard, that can go a long way to making your users more able to trust the dashboard. And once you've made some performance and data quality made sure that performance and data quality are up to snuff, you're ready to move on to that final step, serving it. So hey now, you've blended it, but are you ready to serve it? And that is where you have to take that taste test first. This is often where teams feel the pain the most because without a shared definition of done, review becomes opinion-based. So what do we need to do to ensure that the dashboard meets a shared definition of done? Well, first, we review the dashboard. The dashboard creator does a thorough round or several of self-review with the checklist. They need to go through the whole checklist to make sure it aligns with team standards. They look at every single item on the list: naming, design, accessibility, performance, data quality. And then once they've made corrections and rechecked the checklist, they pass it on to a peer for review. The peer review should be quick. It does still cover all those same topics, but it only requires checking what you've termed as critical under naming, design, performance, and data quality. So what are those critical items? Well, that is the magic of TDQ. It is up to your team to come to an agreement on what is defined as critical. The peer reviewer is going to be looking at this workbook by asking 2 different questions. First, from a user-facing perspective, they're going to ask, is this dashboard built right? And from a team member perspective, they're going to ask, am I going to be able to maintain it? Once they can answer yes to both of those questions, we're ready to put it in front of the user. So, user testing. There are 2 types of testing that we usually think about. First is user acceptance testing. Did we build the product right? And then there's user usability testing, and that is, did we build the right product? So, true or false? User acceptance or testing or UAT is the same as usability testing. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Put some things in the chat. I see a false in the chat. I see a thumbs up from Preethi. All right. Preethi, come on. You know that the answer is a big old false. So UAT is probably what you're used to doing. Does the dashboard work? Is the data right? Do all the filters and actions work as they're supposed to? Is it performant? Does the dashboard load and refresh quickly when you filter? Do the extracts refresh in an acceptable time? Basically, you're asking, does it work? Did you build the right product? And what I just said should sound very familiar to you because as part of the self-review and the peer review, you've already done all that testing. You've tested every one of those things. So if you already have a good checklist in place, a TDQ checklist, UAT for Tableau dashboards doesn't actually need to involve the users. Don't tell them I said that. It doesn't involve the users. Self-review and peer review should have helped answer whether we built the dashboard correctly, that we built the product right. So I'm not saying that you don't test with users. Instead, I'm saying you should test differently with them. Usability testing asks a whole different question. Did you build the product right for your users? Or did you build the right product for your users? So did you build something that's intuitive to them? Is it easy to use or easy to learn? Does it help them actually reach their goals? And do they actually succeed at using the dashboard or at using getting the answers they need from the tool? And finally, this is the most important one. Do they actually want to use it? Or are they going to keep coming to you and say, hey, can you give me a spreadsheet? So when I say users here, I normally refer to the end users, the people who are going to be using this dashboard to learn something so that they can make a decision or take an action. And yeah, they are definitely some of our users. But when we're talking about TDQ, we're talking about a whole other group of users as well. The ones that we started this presentation with. Anyone who may need to look at the inner workings of the workbook in the future. It includes your current team who might need to fix a bug when you're out of the office at, say, Tableau conference. It could mean the new analyst who's being asked to implement a simple enhancement. Or it could mean future you who 6 months down the line doesn't remember how you built this dashboard, but needs now to start implementing a major enhancement. Under the hood, you want that workbook to be as intuitive and easy to use for your team and yourself as possible. You want your team to be able to succeed in making any changes in the future. And to do that, I'm going to, maybe tell you to consider setting up a few exercises for your team to ensure that they can actually go into the dashboard and troubleshoot an issue or make a change to the dashboard. So speaking of changes, we have to check controls. And there are, so many different ways that we can bring controls in here. First, we want to make sure that we actually log the changes that we've made. We need version control. Make sure you keep track of what changed, why it changed, when it changed, and who to contact and who maybe even requests the change. The other side of change control is access, right? Who is allowed to access the dashboard? Is a project published to the correct location? Who owns it once it is published? Does the refresh actually work? All of that, all of what we've just covered, that is your TDQ checklist. So, Preethi, what do we do next?
So, I do want to mention for a very long time, I thought the usability and user acceptance testing were the same things. But as I grew, eventually I understood that there are two different set of testing platforms. So that is why my thumbs up went initially Roshni, but I clearly now know there are two different testing paths.
Success.
Yes. So now you know all the pieces of the checklist, but the real question is, how do we use it in practice? Because a checklist will be only as helpful or useful if it fits into the way we work already, right? And the goal is not to add more process. The goal here is to make quality part of your workflow, not something that you are doing at the end of your build. So when we think of our TDQ, we have grouped them in 4 phases. Okay, so now think about the first phase, which is your pre-build phase. What are you focusing on in this process? You are thinking about what is the purpose and who are the users of your dashboard. This is where you will align the foundation. You will answer all those questions about the purpose of the dashboard, who is it for, what decisions it will support, and the granularity and the questions that need to be answered and stuff. Now comes the next phase, which is called the build phase. We have focus in this section about your naming and organization and design and visual standards. This is where the structure starts to take shape. So we are applying consistent naming conventions. We are organizing our fields and calculations and dashboards so they are readable and maintainable. And we are also thinking about design, layout, color, typography, and formatting. As I keep saying, this is where your consistency will start to show up visually and structurally. Now, once your dashboard is built, you are now shifting to the post build phase where we have to think about interactivity and performance and data quality. This is where we ask, does this behave the way the user is expecting it to? Are the defaults helpful? Are the filters intuitive? And is the dashboard fast, reliable, and using trusted data source? This is the execution layer. And finally, before we publish, we go through the review. This includes the self-review, the peer review, the usability testing, and the user acceptance testing that Roshni just spoke about. So review is not a gate at the end. It is a structured confirmation that you did your work correctly. Okay, so now let's bring this to life with a real world example. What we are going to do is we are going to do a quick walkthrough of a simple example of applying the TDQ. And I'm going to use the Superstore style executive dashboard because that is one of the dashboards that a lot of us foray into using Tableau and know the Superstore data set. I think most of us know it well. So instead of going step by step in detail, what we will focus is actually the changes that you might see when you use the checklist. So this could have been the scenario that you currently face, that before TDQ, requirements are often in a scattered place. Probably it's an email thread or a meeting conversation you had with your stakeholder, or we use Slack at our workplace. So it could have been a chat, somebody just popping in and saying, hey, I'm thinking of this dashboard that we would like you to build. Or it could be a spreadsheet that was maintaining a dashboard for somebody and they want to transition it into an actual Tableau dashboard. So, and sometimes we will build based upon what we think the request is, and you are making an interpretation out of all these modes of communication you got. Okay. But with TDQ, what we are doing is we are making it explicit. We are clearly defining the purpose to guide the weekly decisions. In this use case, you will see we are saying we are defining our audience, which is the VP of sales, revenue leadership, and regional managers. So right away, I know this is a leadership style dashboard. So now we are not guessing what the dashboard should do. We are aligning it upfront and validating it throughout. With TDQ in place, we have a document which you are able to go back to that documentation as we build. Okay, I missed my place. But anyways, as a part of self and peer review, this is the document that they are going to come back and verify that the users, their goals, and their data source requirements are still valid and have been met. So this is a two-parter, right? You want it for the front end for your understanding, but also for your end where you are doing the testing part. TDQ.
All right. So here's the story. We've got a brand new analyst who just started creating dashboards. They're new to the team. They're new to Tableau. They're very green. And in the midst of onboarding, they learned about, but also completely forgot that you have a TDQ checklist, right? So as a result, they've left some artifacts of bad naming behind, as you can see from all of the X's here in this list. So calculated field names like calculation 1, calculation 2 test, calculation 2 copy. There's no folders in the data pane. Worksheet and dashboard names could also use a little bit of help. Superstore 2, sheet 2, and horizontal containers. Look at how many containers they have in this, and they're all named horizontal container or vertical container. Not very helpful. And they've got some really poor action names as well. So after a little bit of a reminder, they started using the TDQ, they realized the error of their ways, and they made corrections. So let's look at some of those corrections. So what changes did they make? Well, they now have well-named fields. I see no copy. I see no 2 at the end or 7 at the end of any of these fields. All of these fields, you can see they're organized in folders, and any unused fields, they're hidden or deleted. The sheets, they now have good descriptive names, and so do dashboards. And those horizontal containers, look it, they have names. The names are clear, they're identifiable. And even action names got an update. TDQ. So now that we've got naming and organization down, the base is solid. Let's go look at the add-ins, design and visual standards. So this is the dashboard that our well-intentioned new analyst created. This was their first go around. So there's limited signs of the Superstore blue and orange brand palette. Profit is red, loss is green in two charts, but it's shades of blue in another. So it's got a bunch of different fonts and font sizes. I mean, maybe it was to differentiate the sections. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to tell you now, Flex is the one who built this, and he's not really good in Tableau. He's more on the data dev side. Anyway, there's no real visual hierarchy. It's weak, from all the random font sizes, from the layout, the borders, and the shading, and all that extra chart chunk that's here. It's just not doing what the analyst probably intended. So again, during the self-review, the analyst realizes, oh, whoopsies, those creative choices, they probably weren't right. So, okay, they make corrections. And here, they've corrected, they're using Superstore colors, blue and orange. Great. They're consistently using orange for loss and profit or blue for profit, right? That's great. And there's some visual hierarchy. They've got dashboard title that's really big at the top or relatively big at the top. They've got the chart titles that are a little smaller, and then all the other labels are even smaller than that. So marked improvement, but they put it in front of the peer reviewer, and peer reviewer said, we got some problems. The visual hierarchy's got some problems. Those bands at the top, they're sort of fading into the background, and the fonts, they're just not differentiated enough, right? It's not good. So the designer, they make a few more adjustments. They've kind of redesigned the whole dashboard. And this iterative process, this is what happens. This is how we design well, right? This version, it continues to meet all the color guidelines, but now it also passes peer review on hierarchy because of all of these changes to typography. Look at how those titles pop. Their spacing, they used white space really effectively. And the grouping of the bands and of the area charts with a shared high-level title along with individual chart titles, all of that, TDQ, it passes. All right. In terms of interactivity, we kept it pretty simple. We've applied smart defaults for the filters, and those filters, there's only two of them. They're arranged in a way that makes sense. Region is going to be the primary filter since regional managers are going to be in here all the time. So it comes first. Passes TDQ. So remember that earlier when we talked about testing, UAT or user acceptance testing, that's usually covered as part of self and peer reviews. Been there, done that. So we test with users via usability testing. There we go. Sorry, I was a click behind. So, when we sit down with users, we sit them down. We go with three to five users individually, and we give them a question that the dashboard was built to answer. One of the ones from that purpose and users part of the TDQ. Then, as the designer, as the team, you just sit back, you shut your mouth and you observe as they try to answer the question and think out loud as they do. You make note of what's easy, what isn't, what's confusing, and you use that to either make improvements before release or to track for a feature enhancement. And after a few minutes of testing, this just again 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, you can usually save yourself from a bunch of rework later. So once you've done your testing, you're ready to publish. TDQ.
Got it. Okay, so we covered a lot from the challenges to what goes into the checklist to how it can fit in your workflow and what it looks like in practice. So now the question is, what do you actually do with it? As Abby said initially, take the starter, try it once. I see a few questions already popping in the chat, which are very apt, right? Our idea is the goal is adoption, not perfection. We put together a TDQ starter checklist that captures everything that we walked through in the previous 30 or 45 minutes, however long it was. And our recommendation is simple. Please do not try to implement everything at once. It is a lot of work and a lot of things that need to be added to your flow. So start small. Take this checklist, use it on one dashboard just once, see what works for your team, and adjust it accordingly. Again, I repeat, the goal is not perfection, but the goal is adoption. And the checklist will only work if your team will actually use it. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this session is that consistency will save you time and it will build that trust of your end users. When the expectations are clear, reviews will get faster. When dashboards feel predictable, your users will engage more. And when the teams start to share a standard, quality will become so easy to scale. And importantly, standards are here not to limit the creativity that you want to show with your dashboards. It is to enable them and to make sure that your team is successful in what they do. So feel free to scan the QR code or grab the checklist, and please do make it your own. And with that, thank you so much for being here, and we hope this gives you something practical and you can take this back and use right away. And hopefully there are no more spilled milkshakes.
And
That's
with
it.
that, thank you, Preethi. This was great. I really enjoyed this. I forgot so much of this presentation. We do have some time for questions, so if you have any questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or come off mute. And David Ogden just put a comment in here about the blizzard. The blizzard is kind of where some of the milkshake analogy here came from. We had a very different title in mind when we submitted this for the conference, and the folks at Tableau were like, "Dude, that's too fun. We're gonna make this serious." And so they named it the Tableau Dashboard Quality Checklist, and all I saw was DQ right in the middle. And while I lived in the South for a very long time, I don't think I've ever had a blizzard. I just remember the commercials of turning a blizzard upside down and nothing falling out. And that exactly is where this came from. Oops. Let me go back, and I see a request to put the QR code back up. Sam asked, what was the original name? Preethi, do you remember what the original name was?
I think we called, oh, you know what? This is hard right now. I'm like,
I know, right? Like I don't remember. It's been TDQ ever since 4 months ago or 5 months ago. So
right? I think we proposed it as a Tableau dashboard checklist for growing teams.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, the growing teams. What do you mean by that? But yeah, please, I have two questions for you. Please feel free to share your milkshake. And I promise you, every single time I've done this presentation, I've gone out and gotten the milkshake, because you can't talk about milkshake so many times and not get a milkshake at the end of it. It's the reward of it. And same goes to you all. As much as I wish we all could get the milkshakes together, but please do enjoy a milkshake at the end of it, or make one at home if you want to.
I think we did, like one of the days we did this presentation, we actually did go out for a milkshake at the grilled cheese and milkshake shop, the Melt in San Diego.
Yeah. My question to you all would be, are there some sort of standardizations that you do for your new analysts, or is it similar to the process that it lives in somebody's head, right? And they just verbally tell you that, hey, we use Vardana for our font, or these are our color codes? Or do you actually have something physical that you are able to share with the team for them to standardize things? Any brave souls?
I was gonna say, no one wants to come off mute.
I can say something because we're getting a new analyst soon, so I've kind of been preparing a bunch of stuff so that the onboarding is a little easier. And one of the things is just a template that kind of goes through everything that you guys talked about, right? And has everything pre-built right there. But also, as far as the color codes, that our marketing department has like a one sheet with all of our official community college colors that we can use. Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw this out there. We're gonna see a link later, but at the next accessibility tug, Colin Smith from the Information Lab is actually going to talk about custom themes. His presentation is going to be about building an accessible custom theme. But you can use that same practice or same whatever what you're going to learn. It's actually hands-on to also build a custom theme that includes, all the font stuff, but also the color palettes and whatnot for your custom or your college or university's branding as well. So think about features like that may, that may live a little bit outside of Tableau, like the custom preferences file as an option to make some of the color consistency and the theme to make some of the font consistency a little bit easier to actually implement. And Sam, I saw your presentation or presentation you did on those templates. Are we going to be seeing that at HETUG in the future?
Possibly towards the end of the year, we'll have a Tableau templates presentation. So keep an eye out for that.
Nice. And I'm seeing a link shared to style guide and templates. A few folks are saying that they do have branding based design standards in the Slack.
I love
Wow.
David's creativity.
I
I'm
know.
like, these need to be the presentations we do. Who knows?
Fewer options save Tableau yucks. Frosty. This chat is being saved so that we can bring some of these up next time we next time we do this presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick, for sharing the database knowledge. I really quickly clicked on it. This is one of the more public-facing solutions that I've seen about talking about the standardizations and what are the general rules and stuff. So yeah, this is cool.
And I'm about to share that link on the screen. So there's all sorts of, I love that it actually starts with roles. Like it's not just here's what we do, but here's who the different people are who are involved in this are and what they're responsible for. Review process, all the guidelines, and links for all of this. This is so great.
Yeah. So while we do have a checklist at my workplace, we also have the solution of a postcard of sorts that we printed and gave to our analysts so they don't have to go hunting for, let's say, the standards for the colors and the fonts and the sizes and what the title size needs to be and stuff. So it was a very neat solution that we came up with. It was just a postcard size that can sit on either on your desktop or just on your laptop or a table. You can print it and have a copy of it. And that is something that my analysts found very helpful, that they were like, hey, I don't have to go into a whole document with so many long pages to find things. This postcard is, the quick reference card of sorts. This is so much helpful in making sure that we are doing the right things.
And Preethi, I'm just going to do a really quick shout out to your team. So Preethi's team, they not only provided feedback on early versions of the presentation, but they also were our final sort of dress rehearsal. I think the first time maybe the second time we did the whole presentation at once, they gave us some amazing feedback. They were really, really crucial in building out this presentation. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you,
They were
Roshni.
amazing.
I will share it with them. Yeah. Cool.
All right. And with that, we're gonna move on to our quiz, I think. Is that right?
That
It
is
is right. So, get ready, get your keyboards ready. This quiz is going to have some swag associated with it. So, let me pull this up properly. And Ginny, take it away.
I will. So we'll give you a couple minutes to go to www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin 770508. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your computer, you can scan that QR code. So we'll just give everyone a minute to get in.
Ginny, can I just say that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say you have great MC voice. Like I feel like I'm watching the Game Show Network.
That's right. You are. No, I have a lot of fun doing voiceovers in my past life. So, and something fun I learned about Kahoot while our my team at Appalachian State were doing a little quiz for a birthday party is that you can go in and you can edit these icons, these avatars to look pretty silly. And I always go with the chicken, of course, with sunglasses and sometimes a pirate eye patch. Just depends on the mood.
So, Ginny, how many times do you think you've done a chicken presentation at HETUG? I can think of, I think, two off the top of my head.
Oh, definitely. Maybe three. There was the chicken that Sam and I did together, that chicken
Coop.
presentation.
Yep.
There was the Mad Libs that one Christmas.
Chicken or egg? Was that the Mad Lib? And then there was the dating profile. Or am I mixing up a presentation?
So the dating profile was with Sam.
Okay, chicken tender, right.
Yeah, chicken tender. And then there was the Mad Libs was the Mariah Carey chicken mashup.
Oh, right.
And All I Want for Christmas is a Coop. And then I think the chicken or the egg you're thinking about was a game that I built. Did I present that game or I took that game and made an Iron Viz version of it. Yeah. But now I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look.
We're getting old. I guess when a tug gets really old, you just like a human getting old, all the details kind of blend together.
They do. Lucky for us, James created this amazing set of tables that just have all the information about all of our past HE tugs, so we can look it up really easily now.
And I will say it now to commit myself to do it is to join it all together or relate it all together and make it a published data source under the HETUG public site.
That would be very cool if you keep updating it every month.
All right. I don't know if are we good to go?
It looks like we might have everyone in. So this is a quiz to see how much do you know about the HETUG, because this year we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary, or this month specifically. So you get a chance to win some swag. So which band has made the most appearances in DJ HETUG's playlists? Is it Groovy Ghoulies, The Smugglers, Mariah Carey, or Sesame Street? Oh, wow. That is a surprise. Only 4 people got it right. Wow. Well, then we should see some clear leaders.
I think I threw a red herring in there by having the count on today. Whoopsies.
I think you might have. Wah, wah.
Or the people missed the Halloween episode or the Halloween session where it was all Groovy Ghoulies.
That is very possible.
I do like me, or sorry, DJ HETUG does like herself some Groovy Ghoulies.
All right. So Yumi is in the lead, followed by Wendy. Next question. How many organizations have presented at HETUG? 314 to 628, 120 to 140, 60 to 80, or 15 to 25? James, do you want to tell them what an organization is?
Yeah, so it's mostly schools, but there have been a couple people from Tableau, so a couple companies or consultancies or systems like the North Carolina system or the community college. So either collections of education related or a business. But most of these, I would say at least probably 80% or potentially more were actual schools.
Thanks for clearing that up. So it looks like most of you got this one right. Between 60 and 80 organizations have presented at HETUG in the last 5 years.
I'm kind of sad that no one picked 314 to 628. Does no one like the number pi or its cousin 2 pi, aka tau? I'm very disappointed in you guys.
Well, Wendy just took over the lead now. Congratulations, Wendy. So next question, which entities have been spotlighted in Meet a Community blank? Choose all that apply or any that apply. Is it Flex, the data dev mascot, Keith Flairledge, HETUG, or Tableau's Data Plus TV Challenge powered by IMDb, or some combination of those? So there were two correct answers here, either HETUG or Tableau's Data Plus TV Challenge powered by IMDb. And it looks like over half of you selected the other two.
You guys know that Keith is a
He's not
Muppet.
real.
He's a puppet. He's not real. I mean, Flex is real. Flex, no doubt, is real. I mean, he's not staring me down right now and telling me, dude, I'm real. But he's real. Keith,
That's okay. That's okay. We've got another chance, but Wendy kept the lead. But David is catching up quickly. All right. Next question. Which part of the Tableau ecosystem has HETUG pivoted to the most? Is it Tableau Pulse, Tableau Prep, Tableau Next, or Data Dev? I see a little clue in the question there. And you got it. Very nice. That's a lot of answers that got the correct answer.
and in the
Jen
chat we
Pivot.
see Jen Snyder,
Mhm.
our
The
prep
reigning
queen.
prep queen there.
Yep.
All right, so Wendy held on to the lead. Two more questions, I think, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Just one more question.
Yep. Oh, how many Mad Libs has Jenny done? Is it 8, 3.14, 5, or 2.72? I see you like your pie, Roshni.
I'm a fan. Pi Day is MIT's Giving Day.
Oh, you got it right. I've done one every year so far. 5. But I'd like to see how I could do possibly 0.14 Mad Libs.
It's a muh.
Um, All right. So, oh wow, Sean has taken over the lead. What an upset. Well, it says we have one more. Yes. The HETUG community is the best. This is a true or false question. Make sure you give it some thought. HETUG community, that's all of you guys, is the best. Tick tock, tick. Who said
Okay,
false?
what?
Obviously, Flex is playing Roshni.
He might be. I may have left a computer on in his vicinity. Whoopsies.
All right, well, 27 people got it right, and now we find out who our winners are. Sean LaRoche, followed by Sarah in second place, and E. Harrell won in third. Congratulations to our winners. Bravo. So, you all need to let us know how to send your swag, correct?
Sean and Sarah. Sarah, I'm going to assume it's Sarah Brewer. If so, please say something in the chat, and then we will reach out. Yes, excellent. So so if you could reach out to us at our either in Slack or through our email that's on the Higher Ed Tug webpage, that would be amazing, and we'll get you some swag. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you guys for playing along, and happy birthday, HETUG.
Was that loud? Was that a little too loud?
I think James has a birthday gift for everyone too.
Yes, and if we had switched the slides of doing this slide before the quiz, there have been a couple more probably correct answers. So, who doesn't enjoy DJ HETUG music selection each meeting? But for the last 4 years, these selections have been listed on the slides. So I went through and added them to a Spotify playlist. Now, DJ HETUG uses YouTube, so not all the songs were available and not always the same version of the song, but I was fairly strict about keeping the right artist with the song played. So you have about 9.5 hours, the last time I checked, of a wide range of music, going from the often played obscured bands like Groovy Ghoulies to the well-known ones uh, like Queen. The music goes from the 80s, or sorry, from the 50s all the way up to the probably very current. So you get a very wide selection of songs in these. The last I checked, I think it was 9 hours and 26 minutes.
Man, I don't know that I'd want to play 9 hours and 26 minutes of
Well,
DJ
obviously, obviously
HETUG
not at
all
once, but
straight.
but
That'd be
over
tiring.
months.
But it might get us through a very strenuous workday.
I think it would. I definitely think it would. All right. Well, with that, we are ready to wrap up. We really want to know what you thought of today's meeting. So please, in the chat, we're about to put some links in there. Please go ahead and go to our feedback form and let us know what you thought. We also want you to register for next month's meeting. So we are going to have a doc on staff, Doc Elders, who's going to treat your analytics fluency AI ailments, AI ailments, with another TC Encore. I know he's not that type of doctor. He's a professor, but no matter, he's still going to share the framework that he and Anna Ford presented on improving analytics fluency in our modern AI era back in San Diego a few months ago. You can also see that there's this little blank in the middle of the page. It says it could be you. That's right. We are still looking for a Meet a Community member. So if you want to be interviewed or if you know someone, even a professor, perhaps we can do a whole back to school thing with nothing but professors at next month's HETUG. But if you know someone who might be a good candidate for a Meet a Community member, please let us know. The Present at HETUG link is in the chat. And yeah, if you want to present, we've got a relatively open agenda for most of the rest of the year, and we have meetings in August, September, October, November, and December. That's all of the months. Please go and tell us. And it can be anything from an interview like a regular Meet a Community members. It can be a tip or trick, anything from 5 minutes to 10, 15, 20, whatever. Or it can be a full-on presentation. We're open to anything. And yeah, we want to hear from you. And as Ginny is putting in the chat, if you have a topic you'd like to see, go ahead and put that in the feedback form, and we'll try to reach out to folks to see if someone has something that is, higher ed related, that they can present on that topic. So Sam, what else do we have coming up?
So coming up, we have the Tableau Public Tug will be showcasing some vizzes by Guiding and Rising Stars on August 20th. Some pretty big Tableau names will be there. And then on September 2nd, the Accessibility Tug is going to be all about custom themes and custom views, like Roshni was saying earlier. She already kind of spoke about this, but yeah, Colin Smith will be there to walk the members through accessibility of your dashboards using custom themes. And it's hands-on, so have your computer ready and you'll be able to viz along and apply the accessible custom theme to a new dashboard or an existing one. So that'll be very helpful. And then we had to reschedule the Getting Schooled by Andy Kriebel meeting. They're due to a scheduling conflict, so that has been moved to September 8th. I think it was originally somewhere in the beginning of August, so please update your calendars if you haven't already. But we're still really excited to have Andy walk us through some very education-specific scenarios, such as which courses are commonly taken together, which course combos lead to crossing the graduation stage, what campus services go hand in hand, and a lot more. So please join us there. And then, yeah, Roshni put those links in the chat. And then thank you. And we will see you next time.